Ladies and gentlemen, my name is TotalBiscuit. A long time ago I used to do a series called Late Night LOL. It was like 3 episodes long, so I guess it doesn't really count as a series, but hey. And it was a little bit of relaxed commentary. Now it's 1 AM after this game, so I guess you can call this Dota After Dark if you so desire. The reason behind it is I just got done with this game and I really wanted to share it. And it was exciting to me for a number of reasons. I have no idea if it'll be exciting to anybody else, probably not, but to me this was kind of a big deal, so I was pretty excited. As you can see, I'm playing the Faceless Void right here. This is honestly one of my small number of experiences with the so-called hard carry. The idea of a hero that absolutely sucks at the start of the game. Like, he can't do anything, really, let's be honest. He's squishy as hell, he's got no real abilities, he's got this, you know, Time Walk, which, as you can see, according to the guide, it's a blink that slows, and it takes, like, half your mana pool, more so. So, it's not a great situation, really. So you got to be a little bit careful. Thankfully, I'm with an Ogre Magi, who is a very capable support hero, so what's the point here? Well, it is to get as much farm as possible, and really, it seems to be the role of your hard carry. With the build that I'm currently going with, we can't actually have a look at it, unfortunately. I should be able to show you, there you go. There's a super carry Faceless Void build right here. And the items, it goes for an early Hand of Midas. I do not get it anywhere near as early as I should. Because quite frankly, I think one of the biggest problems I personally have is effectively farming. I'm actually not very good at it. I'm pretty bad at last hitting. Takes me quite a long time to get into the rhythm of things, and even when I do last hit, well, I tunnel vision on it, and I get killed as a direct result, which is not that great. Not ideal. So we're in the lane here against a Gyrocopter and a Troll Warlord. Now, I could have got that last hit there, but for the first few minutes of the game, Ogre Magi takes quite a lot of last hits, and I missed that one because it was right next to the tower. I'm kind of making excuses for myself here, which is not ideal. I mean, it wasn't a great start at all. I'm a minute in and I haven't got a single last hit yet, so tend to find if you're not getting at least one last hit a minute, you're probably going to be an utterly worthless player. And, of course, that's terrible in and of itself. Got that one, I think. And there we go, so I pick up that one as well. So it's kind of starting to get into the rhythm of it now. And yeah, this, I think, could have been our first kill. I'm really not entirely sure how it went down the way that it did. I'd hope that we might have been able to turn that into something, but as it turns out, like, at level 2, your actual damage output, unless you are kicking in those time locks, is not really going to do anything, and that is going to be a first blood for the enemy team. As I think you can probably imagine, there's nothing I could really do there. Try to maybe slow him down, hope the time lock will kick in. It didn't. So, yeah, he was pretty much doomed at that stage, so not a good start. Not exactly. It's always incredible to me to see pro players, like, consistently getting last hits over and over again, and every single game that I play, I stress out about it in a ridiculous way, and I get really frustrated with myself if I'm missing them. I mean, that one right there, I couldn't have got that, yeah, because the tower was going to get it. And this, you know, this can become a little bit difficult. I missed that one because, again, don't have the damage. So there are some situations where you're just going to miss those. I could have got that one, I think, so I screwed that one up. Now, this is why you know, allowing yourself to actually get under a tower so early on in the game can actually be disadvantageous. Yeah, you're safe for the most part, but you're not going to be getting that many last hits. The tower's going to be getting them. It doesn't matter how good you are. There are times when the tower will just be able to deal more damage in that one blow, to the point where you're not really able to do much. So I'm on 7 last hits right now. My opening build gives me a lot of agility, a huge amount, in fact. It actually gives me 8, so it is going to increase my hitting potential significantly. I am kind of tempted just to deviate from these guides, and every time I play a hero even like this, just get a Quelling Blade. And the reason I say that is because I'm so bad at last hitting that anything that gives me a margin for error is good. A little bit of a pause here because the Tinker disconnected. This is, in fact, a harbinger of things to come, I've got to say, surprisingly enough. But that'll give us a little bit of time to look at the actual game stats, see what's going on. So, right now, Viper's doing really well last hit-wise. I'm only in 3rd place, which is not ideal. We can look at stuff like gold per minute. I'm in 4th place for that. That's terrible. The Troll Warlord is doing way, way better. But that's because, of course, he did get the first blood, so that kind of kicks in there. So the difference there is not as big. You know, one more last hit would have probably pushed me up to around here, at least past this guy, the Juggernaut here. Wouldn't quite be as high up as Viper. He's pretty good at what he does. Overall net worth, as you can see, obviously it's going to be the Troll Warlord at this stage because he does have that last hit. He did have that first blood and he's got a few last hits as well, but it's actually very, very close between him and the Viper there, so it's pretty impressive stuff. We can skip forward a little bit here. I'm just going to speed this up just a little bit. Now, of course, we paused because them losing a player is just, you know, it's bad. You don't want to play against someone that loses a player like that. It's lame. It's no fun. And personally, I've had so much nonsense lately when it comes down to players just DCing from either team that I'm just quite frankly sick of it. So we're patient. The Tinker later on is in fact not, interestingly enough, considering we gave him that. That was a bit of a screw up. I allowed myself to both get hit and I didn't get the last hit either. I overestimated my damage output. I mean, his last hit animation is not that hard, really. It's a fairly quick swing, as you can tell. And I'm also getting that bonus attack speed. But it can still be a little bit tricky. Going in there, just poking, hoping for a little bit of a time lock where I can. Getting another hit in there. Feel a little bit safer now that I have my poor man's shield, because even when I'm doing that, I'm taking way, way less damage. If you're doing that without a poor man's shield, of course, the creeps are turning around and beating on you, so it's really not actually worthwhile. That's why you don't see a lot of heroes just running past the creep wave at low levels to try and actually attack the enemies, because you will end up taking more damage. I don't know what I was doing there. I could have taken that last hit there as well. You can see the last hit rankings in the corner there. I'm doing okay. The Viper is just phenomenal. 20 and 10 denies. He is absolutely screwing over the Tinker there. So, Hand of Midas. What is it, for those who don't know? Well, basically, every... Oh, this... I don't even know what I was thinking here. That was just kind of suicidal. Early game, it's just not even worth running at the Troll Warlord, because you can just put out so much burst early on with those axes. Anyway, the Hand of Midas, so it's like every 75, 80 seconds or so, you can turn a creep into 190 gold. Yeah, so that's actually massive. You know, if you're terrible at last hitting like me, it's wonderful to get. The problem is you have to be decent at last hitting to get it at a good time. The guide recommends anywhere between 7 to 9 minutes. I get mine closer to 15, which is still not good, but it was good enough, as it turns out. It seems to work fairly well. Take another hit. That was actually a really nice move there by him, and this is pretty ugly, as you can see. I'm really not sure what I was doing there. That was stupid, incredibly stupid, as I think you can probably figure out. I should have just run away.
You know the drill.
I'm not level 6. I can't do my ultimate, my crazy chronosphere nonsense, and that actually enabled the double kill. So what I should have done immediately there is to dash away. I think at this point I was kind of overestimating the capabilities of my hero. Trying to go after him here as well. I dashed in, got a hit, but no time lock, so I'm not really going to be able to slow him down here. I can't catch him. I know that. Yeah. That was kind of unfortunate. Maybe if I got a time lock, I could have done a little bit more to him, pushed him out of the lane in a big way, but as it stands, I missed a bunch of farm at the top instead, so... It's interesting looking back at it and then saying, oh, look at all these opportunities I missed because I made a bunch of stupid decisions early on in the game. Huh. If I don't make those stupid decisions again, then I can play better. As you can see in the corner, my last hits are 15, whereas the Viper in the middle is on 31-14, who is doing far, far better than me. Evidently, the Tinker is having a bit of a hard time. He's had 14 last hits denied there. It's not too shabby. His last hitting is, well, 15-0, so it's worse than mine. Not great. Gyrocopter's not doing well, as you can see, but Troll's doing alright. Alright, so it looks like they're trying to get aggressive in the middle, which is kind of nice for us because it means that we are able to get aggressive. We are lacking ward coverage. I think that's probably the thing which is hurting us quite a bit right now. And that continues throughout this game. Would have been nice to get some earlier ward coverage. Maybe the Ogre gets something or something like that. Ogre is also taking like quite a lot of my last hits, which is not ideal. Obviously, you know, it's great for a support to be able to get a last hit where he can, because he can't just sit there with no money and expect to actually get the items he needs to be successful, even if he's not as item dependent as somebody like me. But like losing something like the siege engine, which could have gone to me very easily, which could have actually got me straight up to treads or whatever, that would have been really nice. But nope, didn't get it. So we had a minor disagreement in the chat, but it was amicably resolved. And I don't really blame him. It's not like I'm last hitting all that well. I'm currently in 4th place as it stands. We're just going to leave that up there for the time being, because it is one of the most important things right now. Until I get to level 6, I'm not really going to be killing anything, as I realized after this. And looking back on this, if I'd stopped trying to kill anything before level 6, I would have had more money. I would have had more last hits, and I wouldn't have died. So that's definitely something to consider there. So very important to realize. I guess maybe it's the attitude of saying, oh yeah, you picked a hard carry. You're the guy who's going to do damage. Yeah, but the thing about a carry is the term is kind of double-edged. In the sense that... What am I even doing? It's double-edged in the sense that you carry at the end of the game, but you are carried there. Yeah? Someone else helped you get there, because early game you just flat out suck. That's what, now 3 occasions where I got aggressive and I had no right to be. Relying on time lock to proc, which has a fairly low proc chance as it is, with a reasonably low attack speed at this level. Stupid. Just utterly stupid. Incredible, really. Still 4th on last hitting there. Thankfully, he's going to get a little bit silly, as you can see. Not really sure why he was committing against Viper. I have a feeling he may have underestimated the amount of farm that Viper's been able to get at this point. He's been doing very, very well in the middle against Tinker there. So that frees up our lane for a little while. I'm a little bit low on HP, but it's fine. It's not a big deal. I still have that escape available, and I'm now level 6. Right, now I can be useful. This entire time, the first 9 minutes 45 of the game, I was basically a useless liability who should have been spending a lot more time farming creeps. As it stands, in 9 minutes, I've only got 23 of them, and no kills. I got 1 assist, but... Actually, no, I have no assists. I have 1 death, so... I'm bad. Seriously bad. But I suppose, thankfully, looking back on this and trying to figure out where I went wrong, the actual fixes are fairly simple. It's just don't be stupid. Don't commit to something that you aren't 100% sure of, and focus more on getting last hits than trying to get kills. And if you think about it for a second, it doesn't take that many last hits to equal the amount of gold that you would otherwise get from a kill. Sure, it puts them back a little bit, but is it worth the risk? Because if you die, then you've done the opposite. Not ideal. Alright, well, things are looking reasonable. Didn't actually realize that we had 3 in the lane. I suppose that's the magic of the replay. But I can at least kind of keep out of the way here. I do feel a bit safer because I do have my ulti and I do have my blink ability, so getting out would not be difficult. It's absolutely fine. I feel reasonably safe now, so I can think about getting aggressive if I have the damage output to make it work. Am I a carry yet? Am I a carry yet at level 6? No, not really. Chronosphere is not going to get me any kills unless I use it towards the end of a fight when an enemy's very, very low, because my damage output right now is simply not high enough. I don't have what I need to make that happen. I need items. That is why I'm a carry. I will be carried to the point where I get enough items to carry. Throw down a fortification. We're currently under a lot of pressure. As you see, we're about to get hit by 4 people. It's asking in team chat for assistance right now, as much as possible. What you're actually missing in team chat is some fantastic discussion. I've got to say, the Viper was the most fantastically teaching and patient person I've seen in a long, long time. Invisible Tinker, definitely not helpful. We are going to lose that tower, there's no real question. Going in there with the Chronosphere. I was a little bit slow on it, but that's what I was talking about there. Will I have the damage output to turn that into something? Yes. Yes, I will. Will I die as a result? Possibly. But there are 3 of us here. I'm taking a couple of stuns here. I do not get hit by that. I was very lucky not to. That may have killed me. And then at that point, I'm saying to myself, right, I have no mana. I have no hit points. There is no point in me being there. It is time to leave. At the end of the day, I need to stay alive so I can get items. If I die, I lose money, which means that I am more useless. Fantastic move there by the Ogre Magi. Really nice. In comes the missile, which is actually not enough to kill him, if you can believe that. I'm not really sure what I was planning on doing there. Intercepting the missile? No, that's not a Caitlyn. I don't believe you can do that, I'm afraid. Still in 4th place on the last hits, which is not good, but I'm not that far behind. Thankfully, the Warlord's not actually doing that well at all, so that's a blessing, I suppose. Ogre Magi has actually picked up 13, but has 8 denies as well, so he's definitely been pulling his weight. And at that point, I'm sort of debating. It's 13 minutes in. Do I want to go for the Hand of Midas, or do I not want to go for the Hand of Midas? Should I just try and get my treads? And I make the decision, you know what? I'm 400 gold away from the Hand of Midas. Let's just shoot in that general direction. I'm not that far out. In comes the port. I'm really not sure what I was thinking of doing here. It's like, yeah, it's real. No, it's not real. Obviously not real. Which is irritating, because that, of course, leaves me with only enough mana for one thing. My ultimate's on cooldown right now, so it doesn't matter that much, but really, that was a complete waste. As you probably noticed, for those who are not familiar with the Faceless Void, he does only have 2 activatable abilities. He's also got 2 passives. So his activatable ability actually slows down everything in its path and increases in range as you level up. It's Time Walk, it's pretty cool. You then have Backtrack. Dodges damage by jumping backwards in time, so basically it's a flat dodge against both physical and magical attacks, which is kind of ridiculous. It's very, very useful indeed. And then you have Time Lock, which is a chance to lock an enemy unit in time, stunning and dealing bonus damage. The duration is twice as long against creeps, which is always nice. We lose another tire, unfortunately, but we weren't really in a position to engage. I don't have the mana to get in there and do my Chronosphere. So if I want to do my Chronosphere accurately, then I've got to be pretty close. Thankfully, they will be baited in very close, and a Chronosphere can be landed at point-blank range, which will most likely result in at least 1 dead, possibly 2. In fact, it's exactly what it's going to be. That was a wonderful little cleanup right there. Very, very nice. We also have an ulti available on the Tidehunter. So he's looking to get it. Maybe another Gush means we get... Yeah, that is 1 dead you. So we picked up 3 for that. You know, we traded a tower, but we killed 3. So that's not too bad, and we start to get a little bit of momentum in our favor. Up to this point, we were behind in kills, so that really turned things around for us. It also gave me the money that I needed to get my Hand of Midas at 15 minutes, which is about twice as long as it should have taken me were I any good. But if you think about it, those 3 easily fixed mistakes that I pointed out earlier on in the game could have very easily been turned into just that. They could have been turned into that earlier Hand of Midas. So immediately I pop that, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to kill this thing, because I've got a reasonable amount of damage output. I have this Time Lock, which means I'm not going to take too much damage, plus I have my Poor Man's Shield, so yeah, why not? I might as well take the money. You know, it's 68 gold, you can't really complain. Decent amount of experience to be had there as well. So things are starting to look up. Bear in mind, I'm still not really a carry, but I'm now more useful in team fights, because I have that Chronosphere. So yes, I have decent damage output, I can lock down multiple targets and attack a single one, and that's good. But I'm not really the guy that's going to be dishing out the damage at this point on the team. That's actually going to be the Viper. Although we do need to watch out, because as you can see on the last hit charts, we do have that Juggernaut rapidly rising there, and he can turn into a real beast. And we lose yet another tower in the process. Now, they're very, very good at pushing, gotta say. I was instructed by the Viper to push the top lane right there, since we knew that most of their heroes were up there. Dash in this direction to grab part of my boots. I was recommended, I think, was it Purge who recommended this? Or it may have been a comment on the subreddit, is to always buy a belt instead of the gloves if you have the chance, because that extra hit point boost is just more valuable early game than that attack speed. I should have kept pushing here, but the thing is, as you can see, we don't actually have any ward coverage, so I didn't know whether or not it was safe to do that. I think if there's anything we lacked as a team early on in this game, it was ward coverage. We didn't really have it. We kind of had an argument with the Tidehunters, like, oh, can you get some wards? As you can see, if I had wards, then this may not have happened. They pretty much have set up with 4 here, so getting out is going to be difficult. If I had wards, I would have just TP'd out immediately. I pretty much knew I was going to die, so I thought, right, you know what? I'm going to make sure that I actually use that Hand of Midas, which is actually a 100-second cooldown. Try my best to get out of there. I could have thrown a Chronosphere down. That would have probably saved me here. Yeah, looking back on that, I mean, it does mean, of course, the Chronosphere would have been on cooldown for a while, but that would have probably saved my arse. That was a nice little choke point. They would have run right into it. I could have just left, so I should have thought about that. But again, ward coverage would have saved me because I would have been able to TP out of there before they got in. I maybe could have even done it anyway, but I wasn't thinking clearly enough. I should have paid attention to the mini-map and thought, are they going to get there in time to save me? Nope. Alright then. I'm going to take matters into my own hands, use something to make sure that I don't feed them a bunch of golden experience and slow down my farm as well. Because if my farm is slower, then I am a more useless carry. Thankfully, we do, of course, have another carry in the form of Viper, but last thing I want to do is be a squishy waste of time whose sole purpose is to throw down a Chronosphere and then just waltz away from the battle. It's not good. I'm slipping badly on my last hitting here, but if we look at gold per minute, you'll see I am also terrible. Ah, there we go. I'm getting there, though. Don't worry, I'm getting there. As I have my Hand of Midas for a couple more minutes, you'll see my gold per minute will significantly rise, because I'm able to guarantee myself 190 gold every... Oh, it's almost every 2 minutes, so... that's pretty good. I'm basically getting 100 extra gold a minute, give or take, from just having that Hand of Midas, as long as I remember to use it. Every second that I don't use it is a second that it's not going to do anything. I'm kind of set up here, hoping to get something out of this. What I should have done is gone straight for the creep wave and grabbed a Hand of Midas immediately. Well, it's, that's 190 gold, you can't really argue with that. A Hand of Midas that is off cooldown is a useless item. But it's okay, we can use it on one of the... Eidolon over there. Nice little cash in. The Enigma just gave us a bunch of money. I remember when I played Dota a long time ago. This was a long time ago when we were all dreadful. It was a wonderful thing. We didn't understand terms like metagame. We didn't understand terms like last hitting. We had no idea what we were doing. It was great. It was when Dota was just a fairly new mod for Warcraft 3 Frozen Throne. And I used to just max Eidolon as quickly as possible and just push the lanes with them. And I was like, oh, it doesn't matter if this stuff dies, it's free. No, it's giving them money. Don't do that. That's bad. It's very, very bad. We checked to see whether or not we had a Roshan situation. We do not. As you can see, they're all in the middle, but we did not know that. We are still very much ward-free at this stage. It's definitely not helping anyone. My gold per minute's actually plummeting right now. It will raise. It will raise. Ah, double damage rune. Always a nice thing to have on a hero like that. So now we really kind of want to fight, because I got a double damage. We have ultis off cooldown. Tidehunter's ultimate has got off cooldown. We can use a combination of both to inflict massive damage. So I kind of move off to the side here, thinking, aha. I will be able to utilize my time warp to get into range. Again, a free donation of money given there by the Enigma. Almost. But it's about to rock and roll up to the top there, as you can probably see. It's burning off my double damage, so I'm kind of itching to get into the fight here. Question is, can we get it? We're spread out quite nicely. We're looking for something. And that is exactly what we get. Down goes that Chronosphere. And then the engagement comes in. I decide, you know what, I want to try and take down the Warlord. And then immediately, I'm kind of indecisive there, aren't I, actually, looking at it? But it turns into an absolute massacre, as you can see. The Chronosphere initiation, followed by some damage, followed by a ravage there by the Tidehunter, results in mass death. A wonderful massacre of gigantic proportions, and will actually get us our first tower kill, if you can believe that. 21 minutes of the game, we haven't touched a damn tower. Not at all, but this will give us the opportunity to do just that. Wow, my gold per minute actually still sucks. Something to bear in mind there. That's not so good at all. Have a look at kills, deaths, and assists. Actually currently being led by the opposing team on both fronts there. Even though we got that great team fight, we are still kind of behind in that respect. Thankfully, their gyrocopter is feeding us pretty badly, so that is helping us out an awful lot. To head through, and the reason I'm going in this direction, I believe, is to actually buy myself a ring of health, which is very useful indeed. And then I immediately TP down to the bottom lane, knowing that they will have respawned, so there was no point in me being around. So I want to start getting last hits. Start to get up there. I'm like 6th on the table for that. Time to start dealing with that. Kind of pushing the lane back. Ogre Magi is here to help me out, which is nice. Gives me a little bit of a boost. And we start kind of getting things going down here, which is good. You know, we know that they've pushed up the center in response to the fact that we were pushing the center. They all respawned. They all got up there. Didn't find us. We'd split off to both lanes and to the jungle in order to effectively farm. So things are going reasonably well here, I think. I wonder if there's actually... There's probably a way to show team gold per minute and graphs and things like that. I've never actually experimented with that before. Not really sure what I'd have to do. Ah, there we go. Excellent. Difference in experience earned. So we're actually doing really well there, by the looks of it. The Radiant was ahead of us at one point. Not anymore. That's a pretty cool graph. I'm not sure if there's any other graphs I can bring up, but hey, you know, that's pretty cool. They were doing well up until this point, and then things started to really go in our favor. Now 4,000 experience ahead of them, which is always nice to see. All right. Okay, so we're back in the center right now, and the Tidehunter was talking about the use of Smoke of Deceit, actually. This is something that he starts to actively do throughout the game. The Tidehunter initially was actually kind of toxic, which was really strange. He was saying some really, like, awful things. And then the entire team just turned around and was like, look, just stop being toxic. This is horrible. And he actually, all credit to him, he stopped being toxic and started playing a team play and said, hey, you know, I'm going to buy smokes and we're going to go do stuff with that. And we actually got some real success with that. I teleport across there, and this was kind of stupid, actually. I did the wrong thing here, as you can note. One, I ate the entire Omnislash, just the whole thing. In between two thick slices of bread. And secondly, the time stop unfortunately affected the Tidehunter as well. So the Tide was going in for the Ravage. This is what he told me in chat afterwards, which was exactly right. I made the wrong move there. It still, don't get me wrong, it still resulted in us getting 4, but we lost 2 in the process. That could have been a way, way better thing. We could have clean sweep their team for the most part, without having to worry about losing people. I screwed up. That was actually entirely my fault. Something to bear in mind there. So, after that, I basically wait for the Ravage, and then once the Ravage has gone down, I try and do my Chronosphere. And also it's a case of making sure you don't catch everyone in it that's actually on your team. I don't really know what Gyro was doing there. That was suicidally stupid. So, you know, we get a nice amount of freebies for that. My last hitting still sucks, though. I'm still way behind. I need to do something about that. Throw down my Hand of Midas. If we look at gold per minute, that has raised me up to 313 gold per minute. So I'm actually almost at the top there. And I'll probably get to the top once I have continued to throw down Hand of Midas after Hand of Midas. As long as I'm doing it efficiently. Kind of back off here. I'm thinking, alright, cash-wise, what I want to do. Guide recommends that you go for Battle Fury, which... it's a very sensible idea when you think about the way that the hero works. You can inflict bonus damage with the time lock, so you're going to be splashing quite a lot. I assume that stacks with the cleave. I can't be 100% sure, though. You build crit, and that means you can do a lot of team damage, and more importantly, if you can get their team bunched up inside the Chronosphere, you can do huge amounts of damage to the entire lot. Yeah, so it's a very useful item to have. When I was a new Dota player, back in the day, I used to buy Battle Fury on almost every hero, because it seemed like an amazing item. And I still believe that Axe on Battle Fury is... Battle Fury and Axe, in fact, is the best way to play Axe. And that is why I'm not allowed to post in the Dota 2 strategy forum anymore. Alright. So right now we're engaging well. We've communicated well as a team, and it's resulted in this really nice team fights where, you know, we kind of had to feel it out for a while, but eventually we figured it out. So it's like, alright, we've got 2 really great direct damage heroes, in myself and, of course, the wonderful Viper. We also, of course, have the Brewmaster, who's pretty good at it as well. He's got some nice disable. He's also hard to kill with Split, so that's pretty cool. And then we have somebody like Tide, who has that amazing AoE. Fantastic stuff. And we have Ogre Magi, who's an interesting wild card. He's got a reliable disable, but every now and again he does crazy stuff. We roll the dice, the roulette wheel spins, and we get it. We bet it all on black, and we get it. And he gets that fantastic multicast, which ends up giving us a huge advantage. So it's a nice little team composition. So we work it out amongst ourselves. We figure it out in the team chat. What do we do? Well, we go in with smoke when we have it. I'm just kind of waiting here, hoping he'll go up there. He clearly doesn't, so I'll go and get some farm instead. We go up with smoke. And we start with the Ravage. I believe he's got a Blink Dagger. So, if I recall correctly, he has a Blink Dagger. Yes, he does. So he blinks in, he Ravages, and then I use my Time Walk to do my little Chrono Bubble. And once the Chronosphere goes down, I'll focus down the target which I deem to be the most threatening, or something that I can legitimately kill in that time. And then we try and finish the fight off, which we probably will be able to do because they've all taken massive damage and their teamfight's kind of in disarray. He blinks out. He's trying to get out of the way there. We don't know how many are there, so this is something that I learned earlier. You know, it's something I should have learned earlier, not actually being killed. Just TP out. Yeah? It's not worth the risk. I didn't see enough heroes nearby. I had no idea how many heroes they had down there, because we do actually have some ward coverage now, but not up to the top anymore. So I was thinking to myself, right, okay, you know what the best idea is? Just don't be here. Just don't give them gold. Don't do it. Alright, so I'm starting to move into position to try and take the Tinker out, who is getting a little bit impetuous over in that lane. But he does manage to smell it, interestingly enough. He actually ends up TPing out pretty much immediately. Taking some damage on the towers as well, but not really a big deal. I'm going down to bottom here just to farm up at this stage, because it seems like their entire team is not here, so this is a good opportunity to keep on that. My gold per minute's now up to 3rd position, which is way, way better. My last hitting is still terrible. I mean, it really, really is. I still just need to keep working on this. Think about if my last hitting was better and I had double the gold that I had now. Wow, I mean, what could I do? What couldn't I do? Considering. It's insane. My net worth is not too shabby, as you can see. I do have decent items. I have my Battle Fury, I've got my Treads, and my Midas. Now we're hanging around just waiting here, and this is where things start to go a little bit wrong for us, and that's actually through no fault of our own. It's because the Tidehunter disconnects. Over the next couple of minutes, the Tinker decides to unpause multiple times, despite the fact that we let him off earlier to allow him to get back in the game, which was a bit of a dick move, really. Quite frankly, Tinker, not really such a fan of that. It does give us a nice time to discuss strategy. Thankfully, he comes back. Don't worry. This story has a reasonable ending. There we go. Fantastic. He has reconnected to the game, and we are pretty much ready to get back into it. We have a look at the graphs. Difference in experience earned. We now have a massive experience lead of like 7,500. So it's hard to complain about that, really. No need to be impolite to the other team, so it's like, hey, thanks, guys, you were wonderful. It was nice. I don't even know what the hell the Tinker was doing, but the rest of the team was like, oh, stop it, that's ridiculous. So we very much appreciate that behavior. Another opportunity for me to get some Midas stuff and allow my net worth and my gold per minute to climb once again and just keep getting this farm down. And you might think, oh, but this is kind of boring, isn't it? I mean, yeah, actually, such is the life of a carry in games like this. Like, if they're not stupidly out of position, we have to kind of wait for all of our ultimates to line up so that we can line up this big wombo combo that lets us throw down the kind of damage that we need to kill a bunch of their teams, then push and take a tower. Now, they made the silly decision of going for Roshan here, which, needless to say, we are going to punish. I really do not understand the obsession with going for Rosh in this position. It's like, oh, you know, we don't know where the enemy team is. Now would be perfect for Roshan. No, it wouldn't. Yoink. There we go. No, it wouldn't. That is silly. That is very, very silly. So, in fact, we take Roshan instead, because we have our entire team up. Even if they decide to come in, I have Chronosphere available, because I didn't have to use it that fight, so it's not going to matter. If they come at us, they will die. And they know that, so they decide not to try and stop us. Leaves us with the Aegis, which we give to the Ogre Magi for some reason, but hey, whatever. Whatever works. He deserves a reward for all of his tireless efforts anyway. Tinker's actually hidden off in the corner there. I do try and fight him, but I believe he just TPs out, so yeah. He seems to have an infinite supply of town portals, so I guess whatever. I'll go and have another look just to kind of see if he's there, but I try and pick a few last hits here and there while I can, and miss them because I'm terrible. things are going well. Everything's lined up for our team fights now, and if we keep executing them in this way and they keep kind of making mistakes with their positioning, then there's no real reason to suggest that we can't win it. They do have a good number of heroes on their team. They have an extremely well-farmed Juggernaut who is doing extreme damage in fights. But their Troll Warlord's not doing amazingly well. They have plenty of nasty potential in a team fight, plenty of area of effect damage, for instance. But as it stands, they haven't really been able to make use of that, at least past the first 10 or so minutes of the game, where the top lane stopped feeding like noobs. Yes, indeed. Time for a little bit of a wander around to see what we can see here. But against these teams where they're mostly kind of hanging around on the other side of the map, yeah, it can get a little bit dull as a carry. I don't know why people are so excited about playing carries, honestly. I don't really get it. I've always preferred like playing spellcasters, which in this game can either mean just a nuker or a support. But for me, a carry's never really held that much appeal. But I guess the idea of just being godlike and being able to auto-attack things to death is an exciting thing for some people. But carry's bloody hard work. Like, if you fail to get that farm, then you're useless. You're a liability. That didn't go so well. So I'm going to get in there, and I use the Chronosphere, which keeps him alive for a little bit longer, and it also gives me the opportunity to try and kill, and we managed to get a pickup on that Enigma as well. And then the Troll Warlord just comes in and just murders me horribly. I made the mistake of overcommitting to that. I should have picked off the Enigma and then immediately time walked out. I should have expected that the rest of the team would be there, and that I, being the squishy one at the front that is annoying as hell, would be the one to take huge damage. So that was a mistake on my part. We have the Ogre Magi really getting in there, and why not? I mean, he does have an Aegis, so... Why do I keep saying Aegis? It's Aegis. That's the correct pronunciation. You got the black hole there from Enigma, but that is not even enough to kill the Ogre Magi, so everything is wonderful. Wasn't exactly the best trade. Like, it does give them a chance to catch up, which is hardly what we want. But as you will note, my net worth is now top, and this did not go well for the Brewmaster. That was kind of silly, really. But hey, yeah, we all make mistakes. So, in reality, that actually went bad for us. For the first time, maybe in the last 15 or so minutes, we had a team fight just go disastrously wrong. We were kind of all over the place. I let myself get killed, which absolutely should not have happened. If I hadn't let myself get killed, I could have contributed way more to that fight, as you might imagine. As it stands, I was just kind of providing moral support from the sidelines, and Faceless Void isn't much of a cheerleader. He can't see the field. But there is an opportunity in top lane to get some ridiculously safe farm, so we're just going to do that for the time being. We're still ahead, for the most part. We're not doing great on towers. We still don't even have the top tier 1 down at this stage. At least we've taken the bottom and the center towers out, but we've been pushed back. I mean, we lost all of our towers up to the top, and then we're down to our tier 2s on the others, so still not a great position for us. Looking to try and pick up a Black King bar. Seems to be a go-to item. I don't necessarily know if this was the best choice. Looking at their team composition in hindsight, there's definitely some magic there. I mean, getting caught in the black hole, for instance, would be a nightmare. Admittedly, Enigma has not really shown any capacity to actually nail that lately, but... So, that's a thing. Other stuff, I'm pretty sure that doesn't affect the Omni Slash. I mean, maybe it's going to deflect a bit of the Gyrocopter stuff, but it's not going to affect being just horribly mauled by somebody like the Troll Warlord. So I think maybe the Black King bar was actually not a great choice. I feel so much safer with one of those. You just press that button and suddenly you don't have to worry about stuns or nonsense or anything for a little while. It's actually quite a freeing sensation, I think. It's more of a zen moment for me. Once again, we're going to use our Smoke of Deceit strategy. Can we turn it into anything is the question. Brewmaster's ulti isn't up, but everyone else's is, so the smoke actually burns out there. And we eat the Omni Slash, but we eat it between the two of us, so it's not the worst thing ever, but Brewmaster does kind of get murdered there. I come in with the Chrono. That catches 2 out of position, and that'll get us a kill on the Gyro as well. So that's doing pretty well for us so far. We haven't caught their entire team. They're kind of all over the place. I think we could have done a better job there. Bit of a missed blink from the Tidehunter does result in us not really being able to do much. So, I don't know, we popped, like, all of our ultis to kill 2 people. It probably wasn't that great. It was not the best engagement ever. I don't think we really expected to run into them so quickly with the Smoke of Deceit. We weren't able to actually set anything up. But we will be able to get a 3rd kill out here as the Juggernaut feels that he has a little bit more of a chance than he really does. So able to murder him, and Viper gets the pick up there as well, so that's always good. Look at that old valuable gold per minute stat. Yes, I am finally up to maximum. I am at number 1. It took me 37 minutes to get there. My Hand of Midas carries the day. Kills, deaths, and assists are looking pretty good for Viper. Not too bad for me either. You know, I'm 637. That could have been easily 617. That was a silly move there by Troll Warlord. He melts completely. We got the gyro out of that as well. The Enigma does actually have an ulti. Could have ultied all of us there. Would have probably killed Magi with it, maybe. Could have even grabbed the Brewmaster, potentially. But was a little bit slow on it, so not too good. Get myself my Black King bar, and that's going to get us another tower as well. And things are kind of starting to snowball out of control at this stage. It's not that they don't have the team fight potential to beat this team, but we do have some pretty nasty ultimates in the form of Ravage and Chronosphere. So if used correctly, then that can spell the doom of a team, and that was an entire wipe of that team, and it looks like we're going to be able to get bottom tower pretty much for free here as well. So things really do start to roll in our favor. That said, one should bear in mind that it's very, very easy to lose a game from this kind of position, especially when you overcommit to fighting in their base, which is a very, very bad idea. It tends to result in them being able to murder you, something you do not want. And then, of course, they get that momentum back, they get a bunch of gold, they're able to recover their position, then they rally forward and actually start to really get aggressive and start to push. I've lost several games that way. I think pretty much everyone's actually seen it. Dota does have big comeback potential. Alright, we'll grab the illusion, because why not? What better than 3 Faceless Voids? Illusion. Fantastic. And now, well, they're in a pretty tough spot. I mean, who exactly is going to kind of carry the team for them? They've got Troll and they've got the Juggernaut in a decent position. If we look at their, say, net worth items-wise, the Juggernaut's the biggest threat. Troll's slightly behind him there. Now, they have items, don't get me wrong, but myself and Viper have far, far more. So, if we look at Viper's items right now, he's sitting on a Shadow Blade, which makes him an annoying assassin, to say the least. And he has that Manta style, which is kind of a key item. And he's got himself a Reaver. Lord knows where he pulled that one from. So, he's annoyingly hard to kill. He's got an absolute metric ton of health as a result of having that. So that worked out pretty well for him. And as for me, well, still have the Hand of Midas. The build actually recommends that you sell the Hand of Midas once you've got enough farm with it. I have no idea what enough farm with it is. Considering I was very late with it, I was pretty reluctant to sell it, but I do sell it later on in the game. So I've got my Black King bar, I have got my Power Treads, and I have like 200 free gold that was just given to us by the Enigma. It's like, thanks, bro. I mean, really, it's very much appreciated. The Enigma Charitable Foundation right there is making up for my poor last hitting earlier on in the game. Such a generous individual. What a philanthropist. But now I'm looking to get Daedalus. I want to get that sorted out, so I'm going to have to get rid of my Poor Man's Shield so I can pick up my Crystallis, and then I can just work towards my Daedalus, and, well, I think you can see the combination of the crit there with the splash damage and the Chronosphere is going to give me the ability to pop pretty much anyone on their team and be a very, very useful assassin as well as a key component of any kind of team fight. So, you know, I'm getting going. Things are going pretty well for me. I can't really complain at this stage. Oh, looking at that minimap, such an opportunity to catch him out there, and I completely missed it. I just couldn't see him. I looked down that way, I thought he went that way, but hey, hello. Here he is. You gotta bear in mind, though, he's still dangerous, so instead of engaging this time around, I decide, hey, you know what, I'm gonna learn from my mistakes, I'm gonna try and time walk out of this, and to make sure that I don't have to worry about eating that missile, I'm gonna throw down my Black King bar, grab myself a double damage, and things are about to get very, very interesting, so he says. I do have a Chronosphere available, And I'm able to get 2 with it. That gets me a gyro pretty much immediately. Takes some damage from the outside. Really nice move there by him, and I think that's probably going to be me dying horribly. The Enigma lands that one time. Just that one time where the Enigma comes in and lands that. So, I don't know. I'm definitely not convinced by that engagement. By the looks of it, though, it will result in a dead Enigma, so it's kind of it's a 3-for-4 trade. I think it's better for them than it is for us, because, I mean, what can we do with it? Yeah, that sounds good. We killed 4 of them for 3, but what do we gain from it? Because they got a bunch of kill streaks off us there. We don't have the ability to push from this position, so really, it actually would have made sense for us not to have fought there at all, and I think that was actually my fault. Going back in there caused the Ogre to come in, caused the kind of Brewmaster and Viper to be around that area, so it didn't have to happen. We could have been a little bit more patient there. I think I was getting a little bit overzealous now that I have items. I'm like, I am the super carry, look at me. I am going to kill everything. No need, though. No need necessarily. Yes, killing heroes is rather helpful, but at the end of the day, the aim is, of course, to kill the Ancient, not the entire team. Admittedly, killing the entire team does make killing the Ancient a little simpler. But as you can see, we're still in a pretty good position. We kind of need one good team fight to be able to push down a base tower and actually start to really take it to the enemy barracks. Currently, we don't have our ultis up, but we will pretty soon. Mine's going to be up in about 5 seconds, so we need to look for that good engagement and not get overconfident. If you were to look at some of the other Dota-style games, and you'd probably think, oh, well, at this stage, with this kind of XP and money advantage, which is absolutely massive in our favor there, you know, we have a 25,000 experience advantage over them, and it's pretty big, let's be honest. You'd think at that stage, well, honestly, they shouldn't be able to kill us. No, they very much can. They really, really can. It doesn't matter if they don't have as much farm as we do. If we don't engage properly, they can kill us. Do that enough times and they get right back into the game. Dota does have big comeback potential when the teams are organized. You know, I still disagree with the idea that you're going to find much of that in solo single draft queue, but in this case, that's actually what happened. I think this is the first time that I've really run into a well-organized bunch of people, even though we were queued solo. I think there was 2 that were in the duo queue, and everyone else was just a random guy that ended up in single draft. So this was a really, really nice experience for me, actually. I was kind of asking for advice from the Viper, because he was pretty much playing a much better carry than me, saying, you know, it's pretty much my first time with the Faceless Void in Dota 2, so, you know, what do I have to do here? And asking for advice on the items, he seemed to think that the guide was a good choice, so I stuck with the guide for the most part. That was a nice little move by the Enigma there, actually, using the Eidolon to scout, so they actually know where we are. That's kind of the last thing. It's somehow, how do we not kill that one Eidolon? I really don't know. And right now, I have a fairly ugly position, and unfortunately that did not slow him down the way that I'd hoped. He was spinning, so I don't believe the slow actually kicked in. We get the Juggernaut for that, but we did lose the Tidehunter, so we lose that big ultimate potential. Do still have a Chronosphere, though, so all is not lost. Of course, with Manta-style Viper, we can pretty much kill whatever we want. Ogre's out of position there. That's fine. Ogre's trying to stay out of the way. Doesn't want to get splattered. Gives me a little bit of a boost so I can start to work on that. But, well, at the end of the day, they still have 4 people up, and we lost our Tide. So it's probably not worth it, we decide. So we back off. I think maybe we're playing overly cautious, but I think having sort of scrappily won the last 2 team fights without the clear dominance that we've been getting earlier on, we were starting to feel a little bit more gun-shy than we were previously, so I guess it's sensible. And also, at the end of the day, I want my Daedalus, and I don't want to lose a bunch of money so that I can't have my Daedalus, so that makes sense. Ogre Magi is back in the fray. The Enigma Foundation, once again, very generous. Not quite enough for my Demon Edge, but it's getting there. Our top lane's getting pushed quite severely. It's being helped out by a stealthy little tinker up to the top there, who's been TPing around the map pretty much the entire game and making a damn nuisance of himself, but there we go. Alright, well, that is enough for the Demon Edge. I see the tinker. He is now... How did he even get there? He's all over the place. I assume the tinker actually has boots of travel. He must do. That would make sense. Let's have a look at these items. far as I'm aware, that's fairly common for Tinker. Where is he? Yeah, he's got boots of travel. That explains why he's all over the bloody shop. He has Lincoln Sphere as well. I mean, you know, farm-wise, he's pretty good. The Troll Warlord has his Daedalus before me, but at the end of the day, I do also have a Black King Bar and a Battle Fury, so I suppose I can be forgiven for that. Now I'm just reading all the comments that say, no, I can't, I'm terrible. And I really am as well. Like, it's astonishing looking back on this, just how bad I was playing early game, and how little farm that I got, and how much more powerful I should be. But I guess the way to look at it, just kind of like looking at a StarCraft 2 replay where you point out everything that went wrong, is, well, those are easy to fix. If I fix this, then I'm going to be in such a great position. Think about that. That's a best positive way of looking at it, I think. And watching these replays back is so revealing. I guess you feel like you played really well in the game, and then you look at the replay and you suddenly realize there are so many holes in my play that could have very easily got my team murdered here, and I'm really glad that they didn't. Alright, smoky time. Let's just say that the Tidehunter is a heavy smoker. It's toasted. It's time to get in there and toast a few of them. They've actually headed to Roshan at this point. We've headed in this direction. And, well, there's an Enigma in the middle, so that's not going to go well for him. And they're sort of hanging around in that position. There's I believe that's Tinker going up to top lane here as well. We're sort of hanging around just waiting for an opportunity to jump somebody, which, as it turns out, presents itself in the form of the Troll Warlord, who rapidly finds himself getting murdered by our entire team in literally under a second. That was ouch time, what can I say? He was not happy about that. He just got utterly splattered. And that gives us a great opportunity to push that mid now, because we got rid of one of their most dangerous players. They still have the Juggernaut, so that could be difficult, but he's their best farmed player significantly. But in reality, the Juggernaut's not that great at fighting a team, yeah? His ultimate gets less useful the more people are around, so Chronosphere comes in at the back there. That gives us a couple of kills. Ravage doesn't really hit much because, hey, Juggernaut is magic immune while spinning, but it does clear that out, and that actually gives us the opportunity to take the barracks because we didn't lose anybody there. I think does he actually have a refresher orb? Yup, he does. So I don't think it really matters if he used his Ravage there. The Tidehunter has a refresher orb, so he can use it again. Because why not? I got my Daedalus at this point, and yeah, I mean, their entire team just got completely wiped out there, so I think you can probably see where this game is going. Tinker actually DCs. In that supreme irony, 50 minutes into the game, the Tinker rage quits. We all refused to pause for the Tinker because he was a dick earlier on, and that, of course, will be game, but there you go. So what did I learn? Well, I learned if I'm playing a hero like this, I shouldn't even be thinking about getting early kills because he just doesn't have the capability. He can't do it. He just can't do it. So, why even think about it? Do two things. Don't die, and get as much farm as humanly possible. Try for that 7 to 9 minute Hand of Midas instead of the 15-minute Hand of Midas. Try for double the last hits that you had in the previous game, and then you will get to that fun state. You will get that wonderful experience of being able to horribly murder anyone on their team just that much quicker. And you'll be able to savor that experience. And then Enigma is going to get his head bashed in, because, hey, why not? So, GG, well played, and of course, going to be big shout-outs, in fact, to the players on our team who were fantastic. Bjorn, an amazing leader. Velociraptor, the prodigal son, the toxic player who, in his little redemption arc, was able to turn around and be a humble, valued member of the team. Killer, the dice-rolling Ogre Magi, as well as Dave, the Pandaren Brewmaster. So, there you go. Every now and again, you do have a good game with a bunch of randoms. Probably never see its like again, but hey, I'll take that.